Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time visiting. My name is Tina Hurley. I'm the founder and executive director of Less Leg, More Heart. We are a nonprofit that provides support, supplies, and services to individuals in the limb loss community. And I'm really excited about my talking segment today because oftentimes I'm here doing interviews with other people, and it's not often I'm able to give a monologue and to share details about something that's really important to me personally that I know is applicable to the general population. Today we're going to talk about something really simple, but really life-changing, and that's mobility. Mobility is not just movement. Mobility is, access, and it's dignity and it's independence. It's so much more than just movement. It's talking about people's ability to access the world and to show up places that matter in their life. And as you can imagine, that transcends just the physical, but it really encompasses the emotional side of the way that people with disabilities feel. Getting from point A to point B is one thing, but really feeling like you belong is another thing entirely. And as someone with a mobility impairment that has struggled on different types of accessibility devices, I can tell you there's so many times that I didn't go, or that I needed so much help I felt like a burden, or put somebody in an unsafe position that may have not been prepared to lift something that I needed to get around, or frankly couldn't access something once I did get out into the world. So the barriers that are present, the isolation that those barriers cause, and the emotional turmoil that individuals with disabilities who are already afflicted with so much physical challenge have to experience is something we really need to pay attention to. Today I'm going to do a review of a wheelchair that I've come across that I just want to sing from the mountaintops because of its practical implication in my life and in the life of a lot of amputees that we've already gifted them to. And there's a lot of reasons why this device for me is really feeling like something to share. But I want to just sort of carve this back a bit. Imagine that tomorrow you or a loved one suffers the awful tragedy of losing a limb, and you are given crutches, or perhaps you're not really good on crutches, so you're given a wheelchair, a standard issue wheelchair from the hospital that is requiring someone else to push you and or having to leverage your shoulders in a very unnatural position to get yourself to move forward or backward. And then you go through your rehab at the hospital and you go home. You probably put your bed on the first floor that's closer to a bathroom because you can't do stairs yet. And you've got an assortment of items that you can pick from in your really hard attempt to get from that bed in the middle of the common area to the bathroom, say, or to the kitchen to get a glass of water. You can choose a walker, which would mean you would need to hop on a freshly amputated limb that's likely inflamed and super painful. You could sit on a rolling rollator that you would somehow try to navigate through the room backwards, probably pushing from your remaining foot if you're lucky enough to have one. Or you might have crutches, which you really need a good amount of upper body and core control to do, and you would be in pain doing those actions. Or perhaps you had something that could leverage a motor, like an electric wheelchair, but oftentimes those models, at least the ones I've come across, are super expensive, and it's already very expensive to live with a disability, or they're very large. They can't fit through standard doorways, or perhaps someone's not even able to get them hoisted into the house, into the area that you live. So let's say you get to the bathroom and you do your business, come back to the bed, and then have to transfer back to your room. You are relying primarily on your shoulders and your elbows to transfer you to every point and location that you need to get, off of surfaces, into mobility items, onto toilets, wherever it is that you need to go. So people with disabilities are missing a leg or missing legs, but what people don't see and that we experience but aren't educated about when we become amputees is the type of overburdened muscles and joints that occur in our shoulders and our upper extremities. And that manifests as an inability then to utilize those same accessibility devices that you need, more than half of the ones I mentioned, to get you to things like the bathroom and the kitchen. So when we think about devices that help improve mobility, we're also talking about devices that can help to offload the very important transfer-dependent joints and muscles of the upper body. Because as you know, if you and that family member did have that situation, you lost a limb, you may be 30 years old. You could be younger. You could be older. but you still have to get through the rest of your life with the other pieces that you have as sound as you can have them, because your body now is dependent on those being healthy to carry you forward for the rest of whatever that long haul looks like for you. So we're talking about reducing secondary injuries, we're talking about improving quality of life, we're talking about improving mental health, and improving your ability to show up and to belong in the world. Such important topics. I was so naive to this world of living with limb loss and disability when I became disabled. I was amputating legs for a living, making amputees every day as a vascular surgery physician associate, and I could tell you the medical protocol and how to do the surgery and what to do post-operatively and what referrals to make for these people. But when I became an amputee and realized that I had no clue about products that I could use, and I had all these insurance and financial barriers to even being able to afford the ones that would be best for me, and that I was confused because every single piece and part that I needed, whether it was my leg or it was these items like I'm talking about today, none of that was covered. None of that was educated. None of that was given to me as information. Nobody gave me vetted resources of goods and services that I should use that were best bangs for my bucks or were more practically appropriate for my circumstance, because quite frankly, that's not what the medical system is set up for. They're set up to get you stable and then get you home. But there's no one really taking accountability for this space, and that's where Less Leg, More Heart comes in, to try to be a nice third party to both support the continuum of care for people coming out of the hospitals and rehabs, and also be very centric toward the end user, which is the amputee. So in the spirit of that, I'd like to share with you about a company that I came across that I'm really excited about. As a nonprofit, we're always looking to do business with organizations and businesses that are philanthropic, not necessarily just toward our cause, but toward any community causes, because it matters that companies care to give back to their community. So when we were proactively sought after by this company that makes electric accessibility items, it was really shocking, because usually as a nonprofit, we're having to do the solicitations to people. They reached out and said, "We love your mission. We love what you guys are doing. We would love to give some units to your organization to get into the hands of people that need it." There was no catch. There was no red tape. It was just a gesture of kindness. And so in just the 6 weeks that we've had this partnership, we've been able to gift all 6 of those wheelchairs to people that desperately needed the ability to get back to their life. And our social media channels will be highlighting their stories. They already have to date so far. So please check out our YouTube and our social media to follow the amazing stories of transformation that small actionable items like these are causing in their life. But this is a company called KERDOM, and the reason I was really excited about it was that they're portable and they're lightweight and they're airline approved. So I travel often. I am not as strong as I once used to be, and I also have limited space, trying to get a toddler around and with all the other items I carry. So those features were really important to me. It's got a 350-pound weight capacity, meaning that even folks that are into the bariatric circles can safely use this wheelchair. And it can go up to 15 miles for its range with its battery, which is a pretty good amount, for an electric wheelchair of this size. It's got a detachable battery that I'll show you in a minute, and it's got a joystick that allows for me to get around easily. I've been so impressed from, just getting it in and out of my vehicle. I can do it alone. I can pick it up safely. It's only, like I said, under 40 pounds. I can even fit it just behind my driver's seat so that I don't have to take up the area in my trunk. Or if you have limited trunk space, I'll show you why this is so compact, because the bottom folds up and the top handles actually fold down. So it was thought through intentionally with the user in mind, and it's been one of my go-tos since I received it. I also was blessed to get a grant for a scooter, an electric scooter, not through this company, but through a different company. And it's amazing, right? It's more all-terrain. It has higher ground clearance to get over the bumps and things at fairs with my son. But it's a big rig, and it breaks down into 6 or 7 fairly heavy parts, and it's a whole production to get it from my garage to my trunk, to get it out of the trunk, to get it set up at the roadside, and then to do whatever the festivity is and have enough gas in my tank, metaphorically speaking, to be able to break it all down, get it back into the trunk, and then get it into my garage. It's very labor intensive. And so even those of us that are on the younger side of this condition, being an amputee, it's still daunting for me. I've still not gone places or still not showed up because I'm just too tired or just can't do that extra physical work in my day. So I understand the people that have barriers to that energetically and physically, and I think this might be a solution for folks. So what I'll tell you about it is when you're traveling, you have to be careful of a couple of things, especially if you don't have legs. This is not an all-terrain model, so that means that it's wonderful in the house and that it's good for light outdoors activities. You're talking about grooved sidewalks, you're talking about minimal grass and gravel and the occasional patch of small sand. But for the most part, this model is an indoor light outdoor rig. You want to make sure that if you have needs that are more outdoorsy, that you go for more of the all-terrain vehicles or concepts, because they have larger wheels, they have more motorized motors. And the reason I tell you this is because we actually have given this unit, this is the DX02 model. We gave this unit to a bilateral amputee, a veteran, and he just couldn't get in and outside. He was using a wheelchair, manual, someone was pushing him up the ramp. So either he would have to be dependent on assistance to get in and out of his home up a ramp, or he would have to do it himself at the expense, again, of his arms and his shoulders, and it was starting to really bother him. So we gave him this. It was life-changing. He was so excited to get in and out of the house. And one day his wife had dropped him off at the sidewalk. I think he said he was going to get the mail or something and then go inside. And so she had her eyes off of him or had driven away. And he got stuck in a patch of sand because it just happened to be a little extra, this time of year. And he needed a neighbor to come and kind of pull him out to get him to safety. It wasn't freezing temperatures. It wasn't snowing outside. He didn't fall, but it could have ended differently. So I think it's important to recognize when you have any kind of need that you're also pairing that to the climate, to the terrain, to the circumstance, to make sure that you have the right tool for the job, because not all of these tools are for all of these jobs. So everything has its niche. And if you have questions about which tools are appropriate or if your tool is appropriate for your lifestyle and you happen to be an amputee, we're a great resource for you to connect with. Let's talk about it. Go to lesslegmoreheart.com, go to the contact section, select amputee in need in the forms, and fill out the information. If you're just someone with a general disability or mobility impairment, call a company, ask the company, or just do it trial and error, but always have a second party with you to make sure that you have a bailout in case you need help and can't do it for yourself. That being said, you just need to know that mobility is not just functional, it can be transformational. It certainly has in my life and in the life of so many people that we've helped. And I want to show this rig to you. So what's interesting about this is, first of all, you turn it on and you can put the volume on so she can speak to you. Let's see if she can talk to us. Let's see.
Open voice.
Oh, there she is. So that's
Thanks for using.
So that's turning off.
Welcome using smart wheelchair.
So for people that may have mobility impairment with their fingers, or they can't quite feel very good, maybe even somebody that has vision impairment to some level, they can turn it on, know that it's on. There's an SOS button in case you need help.
Help, please.
Maybe someone will help based on that.
Please. Help, please.
All right, my son might come running, but at least it has the button.
Help, please.
That's nice. And then there's a setting that you can turn the speed all the way up. So there's 5 speed settings. The reason that's helpful, and I've learned the hard way, is that if you're in, say, your kitchen or you're navigating through your home through small doorways, if you're in the fastest setting and you're trying to Mario Kart in real life through your home, you will scratch paint and you will ding things up. So I do recommend setting the speed on the lower end if you're doing small, fine maneuvering kinds of activities, just to save yourself the extra paint patching later. It comes with a seat belt that you can actually strap around you. For someone that has trunk support or may not have core stability issues, it may not be as relevant. If you are going down say a steep decline, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend in a wheelchair forward anyway, or if you have any trunkal instability, the wheelchair could be good for paraplegics, thoracic paraplegics, that kind of thing. So that is a feature, as well as a band around the leg bar so that if you have any paralysis of the lower extremities, your legs aren't sort of dropping back through the hole. I have seen a bilateral amputee that I gave this to that's already modified the leg rests. So the leg rests fold all the way up, and that's largely for storage purposes or transport purposes. But with the right builder brain, you can kind of you can lock them on the sides with little additional hardware that's not, through this company, but you can get them locked, and then you can put like a board and a pillow on, so that if you have below the leg, I mean, just imagine that my limb is not on, which could be the case for a new amputee or someone that's just not wearing their prosthetic, because let's be honest, they're not very comfortable unless you're walking on them, and even then. But you want to kick a leg off when you're resting. It might be kind of uncomfortable to just let them hang because it will pull on your back. So if you had a situation like this where you lock it up and you put a pillow, you can just sit back here and recline and keep those legs up. It helps with swelling and edema. One of the primary reasons that residual extremities swell when they're in dependent positions is because of all the pooling of blood. Not only is it uncomfortable, it can make things feel uncomfortable and inflamed, but also it can decrease your ability to put your prosthetic back on, because now your limb is going to be bigger and not everyone has that wiggle room inside their socket. So for a lot of reasons, elevation is a good thing, especially for the bilateral amputee that I met, because it would be so uncomfortable letting his back just be pulled down. So I liked that feature. There's a cup holder, which is fun because it's got a track on it. And I fit my Yeti in it, which was bigger than, this looks pretty small if you look at that diameter, but it's kind of stretchy. So I could fit my pretty good 28-ounce Yeti inside of it, and it's pretty durable. I've knocked into a doorway or two and the thing hasn't cracked yet, so I'm giving that part 5 stars. It has locks on the wheels, which is really helpful if you're parking it on something that may not be stable, or you don't want this thing to go, wheeling off. But I do recommend that you turn it off anytime you're stopped for a period of time or you're not in use. My son or someone else has walked up to me, and anytime this thing's on, if someone taps that joystick, you're going to be, at the beck and call of whatever their body is suggesting. And these things are very responsive. So in the home, easy maneuverability, pretty steady in terms of the tracking. The stability is wonderful. I have never felt uncomfortable, like I'm going to fall out or like it's rickety. It feels very stable. And like I said, it's handled really well going through transitions from hardwood to carpet, from carpet to the elevator in my building, out to the sidewalk, and then out even onto the grass where I played baseball with my son. So you can tell it's not the power motor that you would need to sort of be all-terrain on the grass, but it does the job. I'm able to get it done and walk through it or wheel through it. So overall, you would think well, what's this price point? Why is she yapping at me? This, and we don't get anything from this company in terms of kickbacks. There's no disclaimers. I just love this, and it's helped my life so much, and I want people to know about it because I've been disabled for 9 years, and I just found it, and that's a shame. If I could have known all the things I know now 9 years ago, my life would have been so much better. So I want you guys to know sooner. Right now, I think that the unit retails for $14.59 or $14.99, and it's on sale for, I think it's $600 right now, which is insanity. Because if you were to get an electric scooter, which a lot of people will go toward, you're talking low-end models are over $1,000, and some of the nicer ones to really get you around are $2,000. And even if you're on Medicare, the amount of hoops you have to jump through to get the physical therapy appointments done, to get the medical support documentation pitched to your insurance company, then to have the insurance company come back to tell you what durable medical equipment providers they work with, and then you have to make sure you only get one from them, and then you still owe a 20% out of pocket. You can get all that done, but it takes 3 to 5, maybe 6 months for you to complete all of those tasks. And people do it if you're paying a $2,000 to $4,000 out-of-pocket price. But for $600, with a nonprofit, especially if you're an amputee that can fund that for you, talk about headache relief. I mean, when we're going through disability, right, we have so much additional stress. We have such a tap on our energy, such a tap on our time and our purses, our wallets, that anything we can do to offload any of those pieces really does provide an exponential improvement in our quality of life. So to have something that literally I can fold up and stick in my car in under 10 seconds, and the same on the out, that's $600 or less, or free if you're an amputee that needs something like this, because you can reach out to Less Leg More Heart, and that isn't hard to lift and doesn't make me feel stressed just thinking about the physical labor that's impending for me to just have the access I want to the world. You're talking about revolutionizing somebody's sense of agency. And that's, for me, it's very powerful to consider that you're giving them a wheelchair. It's a thing, right? It's a small thing. But what you're actually complementing in their life is so far beyond that thing. You know, I've carried my son in this. We went trick-or-treating down Elm Street in Manchester with one of the KERDOM wheelchairs. And I was able to access everything, get up close to every table. I at one point had 2 toddlers in my lap. They think it's so cool that we get to roll around. I even dressed up like Dr. Eggman from Sonic. My son was Sonic, he's 4 years old, and he ran around town as Sonic, and I was a bald cap Dr. Eggman chasing him in my electric wheelchair because it was hysterical, you know? So once you get to the place of acceptance where you're like, okay, I need an accessibility item to improve my quality of life, that's the biggest hurdle that I've found in my journey that I have to get over. Once you do, you realize, heck, my ego is so much less important than my ability to be comfortable and safe and have more energy in my tank later in the day. I used to not use the mobility carts in the grocery stores because the stigma of it. I didn't like to not be able, you know, I didn't want to have the look that I couldn't do something. I was so set on I can and I should and let me show you. And I would pay for it. You know, just walking through a grocery store and getting the groceries out to my car and then getting them up into my home, I'd have to take, honestly, like 2 or 3 hours to just lay and elevate my legs and rest, and my legs would be sore for days. Why? Because of stubborn ego. Like, you just have to, you know, eat a little bit of the humble pie and recognize that it's, you know, life isn't about having 10 fingers or 10 toes, right? Like, you can leave your mark in the world and you can live a full and happy, vibrant life without those things. Those are just things. They're not what define you. And so, heck, if things are easier and they make life accessible, man, just use them. And if you need help being mentored through that and through those stages of grief, we're here for you. I will share that when I first got a wheelchair, it was a manual wheelchair. And it's a beautiful athletic wheelchair. $6,000 was the price tag on that. And I could do all the things in it, but to get it into my trunk and then to get it out to wherever it was that I needed to use it, and then the shoulder discomfort that I actually had to have a shoulder surgery from all of the compensation that was happening with the manual wheelchair. But I was so stubborn because I wanted to at least be able to do it myself. Well, man, I've turned a leaf in my 40s and I realized that we have to think about longevity. And at some point, longevity has to trump the quick endorphins and the quick, you know, senses of satisfaction that we get from overdoing it. And that's such a subjective thing because you could say, well, how is it overdoing it just pushing my wheelchair up a ramp? Well, I mean, it's not if you do it and you get into your house and you're comfortable and your shoulders don't hurt and you're not injured and you can do it time and time again without any negative side effects. Most of us are not that way, and we do have them. We do have those side effects. So it's so important to, you know, listen to your body and to check in with the path and the choices and the direction of your life as it is now, and to be okay with evolving. And needing an accessibility device, right? Needing mobility assistance, it's not a devolving. You're not scaling back your life. You're not less than. You're not all of these things that I feel like unfortunately society perpetuates in our mind. That's more of what our insecurities are telling us. You're just figuring out how to navigate and access the world in a way that's comfortable for you, and everybody is different. The more you can wrap your head around that narrative, the less I think guilt and shame you're gonna have, because man, I've learned over and over, as I shared with that manual wheelchair, that I can do it, and I'm sure you can do it, but at what cost? And knowing that you don't have to pay that price to get around, for me at this stage in my journey, is just so important. So for those that want to find out more information about mobility devices that I know are great companies giving back to the community and that have a whole host of different types of models for different types of lifestyles, different types of tools for your tool belt, I would recommend just taking a peek at KERDOM, the website. They've got power scooters and power wheelchairs, and if portability is important to you, I really like this DX02 model for the ease of it. I want to show it before this is over. I want to show you really quickly just how easy it is. So when you're getting up from the wheelchair, you want to flip up the foot plates, because I can't tell you how many times I thought I was going to be all right and then I tripped. Tripping is just part of the amputee life, I think. But let me come back here. If you want to fold this up, which I'll be doing as soon as I go out to my car, you simply pull off the back padding, which also has a pocket with Velcro that the charger gets stored, because you can charge it directly underneath the joystick or directly onto the side of the battery. And you literally just go, whoop, and I got my foot pinched, but you just collapse it. And you go, okay, well, that was really easy. And from the side, it's a little bit wide. I can't put that in my Corolla. Well, actually can, because there's these little flip downs. Now you've reduced all of that height, and then these actually flip up. If you need extra room by taking the joystick and the cup holder off, you can literally just pull them out of its track. So now you've just got this tiny square. As you can see, it's like lower than my mid-thigh down, so I can pop it right into my SUV behind my driver's seat, or easily into the back of the SUV. The other thing is the battery. So if you turn it around, and I'm a mama and I'm out of shape, but like literally just lifts up really easily. This here is the battery. So when it comes out of the box, also the boxing is really, really convenient. It unboxes so easily, but this is what the battery looks like. And this little circle spot here is where you can also charge it. So if you don't want to take the whole rig with you inside or into your garage, you can just pop this battery out and then take the charger and plug it in wherever it's convenient to you. And then I recommend doing it, every night if you're using this on a daily basis, just to make sure the charge is full. I haven't had a problem with it dying on me, and I haven't found a spot where I really have nowhere to plug in, because, the world is pretty, civilized these days. But anyway, that's the portability, and if you wanted to take it out of your car and then set it up, you simply take it and you push down on the seat. You flip down the seat rest, or the seat foot rest, and then you pull up on the back, and now you've got it ready to go. And if you get tired, or if, say, the battery dies and you weren't prepared because you didn't charge it like you should, I've been there, it does have the handles in the back for someone to be able to push you, which is a nice sort of fallback. But anyway, I'm really grateful for KERDOM for creating solutions that really apply to the end user, because the price point and the portability and the lightweight nature of this, and for how good its range is, I'm through the moon excited about them, and I'm so glad to be able to share it with you today. So check out KERDOM. Look into Less Leg, More Heart, especially if you have a disability and limb loss, because things like this are all over the market. Finding them is hard enough. Vetting them is even harder. Let us help do the legwork for you. But wanted to motivate you to lead today on your best foot. Keep rolling, keep rising, and keep leading with heart. See you next time.